Good evening, everybody. It is Monday, the 29th of March, and you are watching the Third Tier podcast. I am hosting tonight. I'm Matt from Jules in the Blood TV. First of all, I am joined once again by Tom. How are you, mate? Frustrating draw at the weekend.
Yeah, I think 4 points from Peterborough and Plymouth isn't horrendous, but if you take the fact that we were 2-1 up until the 92nd minute, it's a bit guttering, but unbeaten run continued and in the playoffs still, so quite happy.
That's it, yeah. And I think, and if you draw with Peterborough and then beaten Plymouth, no one bats an eyelid, do they?
No. But yeah, we've got two important games over the Easter week. But I'm proud to see us in the playoffs with games in hand. So fingers crossed we can continue it.
Excellent. And also joined by Ben. He is back after a week's injury. He had a COVID vaccine last week. We thought we might have been joined by the Elephant Man this evening, but he seems okay. How you doing, buddy? You good?
Yeah, I'm fine. No real side effects just yet, as I know. But yeah, all good. Fleetwood didn't play on Saturday, so no stress, and all ready to go for another fun-filled show today, Matt.
Excellent. And we have a special guest this evening. She is still trying to smile, bless her. It's Caz, Bristol Rovers fan from the Gascast. How you doing, Caz? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on. And yeah, it's difficult to be positive at the moment, but I'm going to try my very best.
I was just going to say, yeah, obviously it must be tricky watching a side that's struggling down at the foot of the table. I think you're second bottom now, unfortunately, after the weekend. But I just wanted a quick question before we get on with the show does it make it any worse or is it slightly easier because you can't go to games? Do you feel slightly disconnected from it, or is it just as horrendous as if you was at the Mem?
It's still horrendous, but I do think it would be worse if we were there. And I'm always one to travel home and away. So I know I would have spent a lot of time and a lot of money going to support them, only to be let down each week. So yeah, it is a little bit of comfort knowing that I haven't actually been stood in the cold watching us get battered every week. I've been on my sofa. So it's a little consolation. But yeah, it still hurts.
So, and your quid's in. So every cloud has a silver lining and all that. Right,
well, yeah.
We will speak to Caz a little bit later in the show, but let's crack on now with tonight's episode. Remember, everyone, to get your comments in, get your questions in for us. If you've got anything for Caz specifically, she'll try and answer some questions if they're Bristol Rovers related. There's one already from Charlie at One Rovers Vlogs. Big up the panel and smashing the content. Cheers, Charlie. Very supportive of the pod. But first things first, tonight, we'll have a look at the week that was in terms of news in League One. It's been quite quiet, to be fair. There wasn't a lot this week. No sackings, no resignations. This might turn into the Caz show, unfortunately. Bristol Rovers, though, can't keep themselves out of the spotlight. Joey Barton has emerged as the second favourite to take over at Championship outfit Preston North End over the weekend. I know he was odds on at one point. Ben, let me come to you first, because obviously you know about Joey Barton's work. What did you make of the news over the weekend that suddenly he's being linked to a Championship club?
It wouldn't have surprised me if Josephine did leave Bristol Rovers, if I was honest with you. I think kind of he's not had the impact there where he would have hoped. And, you know, if it's Preston, I know it's a division above, but they do like going for a young manager that they can develop. And obviously, they had a good project in Alex Neil, but Barton would be closer to home. But I was surprised at the news seeing that, you know, he's had 10 games at Rovers and he's only won 2 games out of that to all of a sudden go from that to a very stable Championship club. So I like Joey as a manager, but I don't think he's a Championship manager just yet. I think he's got to prove his worth with a Bristol Rovers squad, because remember at Fleetwood he always had a good squad, didn't he? He never overachieved at Fleetwood. He did a good job, but now he's got to kind of test his mettle with a below par Rovers side.
Yeah, that probably sums it up. Well, Caz, we'll come to you, obviously, because it affects your club potentially. Just when you think this campaign can't get any more horrendous, I guess, was the first thoughts. But can you really see him jumping ship and go into Preston North End? Is there any sort of, you know, in the know type knowledge around Bristol Rovers and people at the Gascast, or?
No, like, to be honest, Frosty, who does our reporting, he's very in the know when it comes to Rovers, and he said there's no substance behind it. So where it's come from, I have no idea. I don't know if someone's just lumped it on. You know, with these betting companies, they go by people betting on it. It'd be very surprising. Like I said, he's won 2 out of his last 10 games, is it? And he's lost 8 of them. And a lot of those games he should have won. He should have beat Wigan. He should have beat Burton. He should have beat Swindon. He's losing all of these big relegation 6-pointers. So why on earth would Preston want to go and take a punt on someone who's got a poor record so far in League One in a relegation dogfight? I'm not sure. So I'm hoping it's not true, because it would just be pure embarrassment for all of us to be on our 4th manager of the season.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you'd be tough to try and find a club that's had 4 managers is in one campaign. Tom, what was your initial thoughts when you saw it?
It's quite funny. To be honest, I think, look, all rivalries aside, when the Championship club come calling, it's difficult to ignore. But whether it's just the bookies making a bit of noise because there's been a couple of bets on him and that's gained momentum, I'm not sure. But to me, as much as I think Joey did an excellent job at Fleetwood, getting in the playoffs, etc., he started just horrendously, and I've watched almost every pre and post match, and he's done nothing but blame the players and the club and the previous mentality. And to be honest with you, it's probably true, but the fact is said it 2 or 3 times now is becoming a bit tiresome. And I think the Bristol Rovers fans wants to hear something a bit more positive in terms of where they are in the league and the battle they've got ahead of them. And now they've got this noise overclouding them. It may just be whispers, but it's another distraction and something that's not going to help Bristol Rovers in the long run. But I personally don't see him going. If he goes, I think it's a massive mistake from Preston personally.
Can I just chip in there and just say, I think Joey's playing a game where if he does say all this in the media about, he's motivated the players in the stadium, and it's down to Joey's motivational speaking, but he's getting kind of his excuses in now, going, yeah, look, we've accepted relegation, we have to rebuild. So he's kind of settling, and if he stay up, it's kind of his job in the press. I think that's what Joey's trying to achieve, because like you, Tom, I've watched every pre and post match, and something, I'm finding it really funny. Really, I can't wait. I can't get enough of this stuff really right now.
I don't know how you feel, Cass, but to me, even obviously not as a Bristol Rovers fan, I'm quite fond of tiresome. Everyone is almost bang on 8 minutes, and every single one he doesn't stop alluding to the fact that it's the team's or the club's fault. And surely, as fans, you guys want to hear something a bit different.
Yeah, exactly. It seems to us like he's just resigned to the fact that we're down now, and that's not what we want to hear. And it's a lot of blaming behind the scenes, which I don't blame him for, because if it is bad behind the scenes, it deserves to be called out on, because no one else has really been this honest about it. But is now really the time? He just needs to focus on what's going on the pitch. We need results to start turning around. If he was in a position where he's winning games and he was calling out the board and players at the club, then it would make more sense. But he's not, and he's been brought in to do one job, and that is to keep us up, and he's failing so far. So he needs to sort it out. And so someone said about him complaining about officials. He's complained about officials every single game. He's been right in some aspects. Some decisions have been shocking, but again, that's not the reason why we are where we are, and we need to start improving on the pitch and stop finding every other excuse. I think he's just getting a bit desperate now, to be honest.
Yeah, the thing that didn't make sense to me was that you see these interviews pre-game, and he's come out last week and was saying, I've been out for a jog in the city and I think it's my city, and between us we can, get out of this and make Bristol Rovers great again. But then as soon as the result goes the wrong way, it's, I mean, obviously as a Gills fan, I remember reading the thing about Max Amar last week, and I thought, that's not Max Amar that he's talking about. They're not the Max Amar I knew at Gills. Don't get me wrong, he's not the best defender in the world, Max Amar, but to come out and publicly assassinate someone in the way that Barton did, for me, was hugely risky, because if he's got people that he's close to within the playing side of things, are they going to down tools as well as Max Amar? Because I can't see Max Amar wanting to play for Joey Barton anymore. And the fact that he dug him out over something that was 10 years ago, effectively, when Max Amar was a kid, I just found highly inappropriate. I understand he's trying to motivate his players and trying to get a reaction, but that for me is just incredibly risky and could go horrendously wrong and go completely the other way. But you talk about refereeing decisions, and that brings us seamlessly on to our next section, which we're going to have a look at the results from last Tuesday. I think it's fair to say, and Caz will probably back this up, I know she watched the game, that the goal that was disallowed for Bristol Rovers, I've watched it countless times, cannot understand why that Bristol Rovers goal has been disallowed. Was it offside against Brandon Hanlon? Is that what the decision was made for, Caz?
Apparently, he was interfering and obstructing the keeper's view, but the keeper's dived. That is a decision that I've never seen anything quite that bad before in terms of disallowing goals at this level. And like I said earlier, like Barton has had rights to call out the refs on some decisions, but it does seem every week. So it's kind of a bit boy who cried wolf, because once it does happen and it actually has a right to say it, then everyone just feels sick and tired of it. And he says he's been calling up the officials each week, complaining, I'll be on the phone again. But it's like, well, if you keep saying it every week, they're just going to get tired of you saying it, even when you have every right to say it. But yeah, I couldn't understand that goal. I watched it over and over again. I celebrated around my living room when it went in, and then sat down and it was disallowed. So yeah,
I genuinely couldn't believe it. I don't know if Tom or Ben have seen it, but for me, it's a problem. It's commonplace at this level, unfortunately. And I don't like sitting and digging out referees, but they're generally poor all the time, and it's frustrating, especially when it's having such a big bearing on whether a team could get relegated or stay up. And I'm not sure.
I've seen it, but you're fuming if it's against you. He, in fairness, as the strike comes in, he's standing, relatively away from the players and potentially in the eyesight. But for me, it's not affecting the gameplay. Like I say, he's got a right to moan, but he moaned about Saturdays as well. It should have been a penalty, shouldn't it? When the guy wins a clear header and the Bristol Rovers player clatters into him. And again, it's just desperation. He needs to say, I will turn it around, or I know my plans for next game or something, and just start to motivate the players, because the players are going to hear this. And regardless if Ben thinks he's playing games or using it as a say, or isn't my fault type thing, in my opinion, it's embarrassing. He took the job. He knew what job he had on, and he knew the players. He knew the squad. He went for an interview. He took the job. So crack on with it and start being a bit more positive.
Exactly. Yeah, that probably sums it up. There was 3 other games though as well last Tuesday. We've got them on the screen. Northampton B Oxford, which helped them out in their battle against the drop. I think that was a decent performance from the Cobblers, in fairness. Burton's long unbeaten run under Jimmy Floyd came to an end, and then they lost back-to-back games. I think that was a second defeat on the spin at home to a very improving Shrewsbury team, who are still under the stewardship of Steve Cottrell from his living room, effectively. So he's doing an even better job there than is more than imaginable, with the fact that he's still recovering from the effects of long COVID. But Tom, we'll let you talk again. I know you just had a little mention there on the Bristol Rovers goal, but obviously a massive result for the Tangerines, seeing off promotion hopefuls Peterborough 3-1 at Bloomfield Road. I know you tweeted a couple of times, but you was mighty impressed with the performance, wasn't you?
Yeah, I was very proud of the performance in the previous match against Oxford, because it's the first time from the first minute to the 90th minute where we've pressed the ball and created chances and scored good goals. And we said if we can emulate that, we'll give Peterborough trouble. But literally 1 minute, 2 seconds on the clock, Yates hits a 20-yard strike which flies in the net, and we do concede on the stroke of half time from a defensive error. But we were so comfortable as soon as we scored the second and third goals within sort of 5-10 minutes of each other, and we pressed really well in spells, and they didn't have a sniff. And for someone like Clark Harris and Schmoddix to walk away from Bloomfield Road with not a sniff was, you're thinking at that point that puts you in the playoffs, and we kick on from there, and hopefully we can continue that sort of style of football. Now we've had a bit of a break as well, because we were knackered on Saturday, but yeah, overall superb.
And there's a comment coming from Old Athers. I think that is a Blackpool fan, I'm assuming. He's got asked you, Tom, have Blackpool got it in the locker to make the top 6 this season? Yes or no?
100%. Yep.
Very positive. I like that. Right, that was all in the week, though. We then looked at Saturday's fixtures. There was pretty much a full programme. I think there was 10 games this weekend. So we'll run through them as they are on the screen in alphabetical order. AFC Wimbledon took on Northampton Town in a massive relegation 6-pointer. I'm not sure it was one for the purists, but Wimbledon won't care. Joe Pigott on the mark again. I know Ben's raved about him already on this podcast. Late winner. Shocking penalty given for Northampton after that, and thankfully it was saved from a Wimbledon point of view, because how that was given, I really can't work it out. Tom, Blackpool, Plymouth, a little bit frustrating. You mentioned at the top of the show. Just quickly give us 30 seconds on why you was a little bit frustrated with that draw.
Because we conceded in the last minute after being 2-1 up, but we were tired and they were excellent first half. So if you look at the game on 2 halves, then they deserve the draw.
Fair enough. Caz, Bristol Rovers 0, Sunderland 1. I know you said you didn't watch the game. I think you decided to leave that one alone. But have you seen anything in the last 2 games, or what you've read on social media or speaking to the guys at the Gascast, in the last two performances, predominantly that one at the weekend, where I know you started brightly. I think it was Jonah Iunga had a chance first half quite early on. I think it clipped the post or went just wide. But is there any sort of crumbs of comfort that you can cling on to at the moment and make you think you can get out of trouble?
It's tricky. It's the same old story each time we play a game, which is played all right, but didn't take our chances. And it sounds like, again, on Saturday, that was the exact same thing. We had two young uns, Pablo Martinez and Zane Walker, who neither of those have actually played at all this season, but Joey's put them in the side and they had two bright, promising performances. But it just sounds to me like we're just going to struggle to score goals, and it's just not going to help us now. So that's what we need to do to stay up, and we just can't do it. And we're so poor at set pieces, defending set pieces. And again, the Sunderland goal was from a set piece, and unfortunately, it's just something we haven't learned from. And I just cannot see anything improving. You can play and you can have all the possession you want, but at the end of the day, you've got to learn to defend simple set pieces, and you've got to be able to score goals. And sadly, we just can't do any of them, or we do and it gets disallowed. So
yeah, I did see the goal, unfortunately, and I think you're spot on. I watched the highlights. Unfortunately, if you freeze it at the moment of Aidan O'Brien making contact, there's three Bristol Rovers players not marking one, and they're all just looking at him or looking at each other and not taking responsibility, which unfortunately comes when you're down the bottom. And I'm guessing if he was up the top like Blackpool, then the goal on Tuesday last week gets given, because that's the way it goes, unfortunately. But yeah. I'll stick my neck on the line. I'm still going to back you to stay up.
Thanks, mate.
Pelters for at the end of the season, I can tell. Right, moving on. Hull v Gillingham. I was very impressed with Gills again. We rode our luck at times. Jacob Greaves, I think it was, the Hull centre half. I'm not sure how he managed to miss from half a yard in the second period. It was easier to score than manage to hit the bar, but we hung in there and we chucked our bodies in front of things, and then we scored a decent equaliser. There was talk of potentially a foul by Jack Tucker on our former loan staffer in the build-up to the goal, but little old Gills ruffling feathers again, and we'll leave it there. Ben, do you want to talk us through the last four results? I know Fleetwood didn't play, so if you want to cover from MK Dons down to the Wigan game.
Yeah, obviously MK Dons has now won 4 in a row, haven't they? And they're on a great bit of form. I think they're 4 points off the playoffs as well. So Russell Martin's starting to build a process. I think if you look in the last 23, 24 games, MK Dons are sat in the playoffs, and as are your team, Gillingham, Matt. So it just shows you, they are competing now, and they are getting good wins against good sides. At Doncaster, they're struggling right now, and I can't see them finishing inside the playoffs. Peterborough 7-0. They're either really good or absolutely atrocious. Blackpool did a number on them on Tuesday night, but against Accrington Stanley, they were brilliant. I thought Accrington's defending was absolutely woeful. Clark Harris's hat-trick was, he's a good striker, that lad, but obviously, as Caz will know, they're all poachers finishes, and that's what good strikers do. They get in good positions, and that's what he did on Saturday afternoon. And then looking at Shrewsbury against Portsmouth, they've been up and down in 2021. They started well under the new managerial man, but now Portsmouth, I thought they were excellent in the first half. They probably could have had more than two. I know a lot of Portsmouth fans were saying that's the best they've seen their side in a few months. So a very, very good win, back-to-back 2-1s. And Wigan against Ipswich, Wigan get another point, but Ipswich just don't look anything really like I would have hoped them for. But I think Paul Cook needs a process. He needs a few years to build his squad, build his culture. But there are 4 good results in there, and a lot of big results and big talking points.
Yeah, that Peterborough game obviously was the standout for obvious reasons, I think. But I don't think Johnson Clark Harris is going to score an easier hat-trick in his life. I think it was a combined distance of about 2 yards, wasn't it? It was, and the defending for the first one, like Ben mentioned, is absolutely shocking. I think is it Joe Ward puts a ball in from the right-hand side and it bounces about 3 or 4 times across the 6-yard box. All the defenders are like Bambi on ice going the wrong way, and Johnson Clark Harris is a good striker, but you don't need to give him a helping hand. Talking of JCH, Caz, we'll come to you again. Sorry to upset you even more. Josh Mellin says Rovers didn't invest in a striker with the Clark Harris money. You can't take those goals out of a good team. Thoughts without crying?
Regret coming on here now. No, it's fine. So we got 1.25 mil from Johnson Clark-Harris sale, which is the most we've ever got. It's a transfer record for us. And yeah, we didn't do anything with it. Ben Garner set up the squad really badly, really unbalanced squad. He got tons of defenders in, but what we ultimately needed was a striker to replace JCH. And he was so valuable to us. And we didn't do that. We got Jonah Younger from Havant and Waterlooville. He looks promising, but he's still so raw. He's only ever played non-league, so of course he's not going to fire straight into League One. Brandon Hanlon, as you know, Matt, you know, he can
50
be
grand you spent on it. You tried to spend on it 50 grand, if you believe our chairman's biblical letter to the fans last week. Oh, that went on a little while, bless him.
Not even sure he's even worth that, to be honest. I mean, he has been flogged to death, to be fair to him, but he has been abysmal, like not even close to JCH style. And James Daly from Crystal Palace as well. He was quite promising because well, we actually had him last season, but Palace fans rated him very highly and they were gutted to see him go. So I was quite optimistic about him, but we set up the season with just 3 strikers with very little league experience between them. And are we surprised that we're sat 23rd in a relegation dogfight? Not at all. And we had an opportunity in January. Paul Tisdale put all his eggs in one basket for Jayden Stockley. Didn't have a backup. Ultimately missed out on Jayden Stockley when he went to Charlton. Didn't sign a striker, which is the one thing that we desperately needed. So yeah, of course we're going down.
Yes, like you say, the 2 fees that you see bandied about says all you need to know. And I was a fan of Brandon Hanlon, but 1.25 million you get for Johnson Clark-Harris, and you've apparently bid 50,000 for Brandon Hanlon. I think Paul Scully would have been happy if it had been 50 million. But I did listen to the Gascast, and that takes us on to the next section. Obviously, we want to hear about you a bit more in terms of being a Bristol Rovers fan and how you got into it. So how did you get into being a Bristol Rovers fan? Is it through family or?
Yeah, so interestingly, I have a mum who's Bristol Rovers, but a dad who's Bristol City. So I had, everyone's reaction is ooh. So I had the choice as a kid growing up. My brothers, I've got 2 older brothers, they both went to Bristol City. I did go to Bristol City as a kid, but I think my dad just missed the mark a bit and took me when I was a bit too young, and I absolutely hated it and cried the whole way through apparently. But then my mum saw a golden opportunity when Rovers.
Now you do that at Rovers, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I cry every week. So mum obviously saw a good opportunity to take me in 2007 when we got to the JPT final at the Millennium Stadium, and then we had the playoff final against Shrewsbury at Wembley, and she asked me if I wanted to go. I said yeah, which she was surprised about. And I went to the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff. We lost to Doncaster 3-2, but the atmosphere and everything is what sucked me into it. And I just absolutely loved everything about it. And then I was begging my mum to take me to every game after that. Obviously, Wembley, we won 3-1. Sammy Igo running the length of the pitch. Just 2 fantastic games. And then we had an epic cup run after that where we beat Fulham when they were in the Premier League, saved a penalty against Jimmy Bullard when he was playing for England. And it was just, I was sucked right into it. And unfortunately now, this is why I am where I am. And I can't escape it. But I wouldn't change it for the world, to be honest. I absolutely love it.
That's the thing, I think, isn't it? All of us, as bad as it gets for any of us, and we all go through it. That's the beauty, I suppose, of being lower league football fans. You then tend to appreciate the good times when they come around because there are so many bad ones generally. But let's cheer you up a little bit then and talk about best memories. You might have already mentioned it, but if you could give us quickly in like a minute or so, like top 3 Bristol Rovers moments following the gas.
Yeah, I'm quite lucky, to be honest. I'm 26 and I've seen 3 promotions, which is pretty good. My mum was saying to me, she was like, I've only ever seen 1, and then we went and we got promoted from the conference and then from League 2. To be honest, the conference was really depressing, dropping out of the league after 94 uninterrupted years. But the conference season was easily the most fun I've ever had in my life. And that was only because we went straight back up. But it was brilliant. We were winning every week. We were selling out every week. Everyone was in a great mood because we were winning like 5-0. We won 7-0 on the final day. It was really incredible. So I had that one. We won at Wembley on penalties, last kick of the game. So it was dramatic. So that was really good. And then the season after that, under Darryl Clark, we then got promoted again off the back of the other promotions. So back-to-back promotions. And we did it in the best way possible, which was 92nd minute winner at the sunny day, sun was shining, pitch invasion, and then everyone went to Gloucester Road after. The police were brilliant that day. They closed off the road for us so we could have a street party. And yeah, I don't think I'll ever have an experience like that again. You do not get promotions to go automatically that dramatic like that. And yeah, it was, if I could bottle that feeling up I got from that day and keep it, it would be absolutely priceless, to be honest. It was, yeah, really, really incredible.
Give it to Joey, cheer him up.
Yeah, it might make him smile, bless him. And we have to talk about, obviously, the Gascast as well. How did you get involved in that? Because I've listened to a couple of the episodes, the last one last week, because I knew there was going to be a bit about the Max Amar, Joey Barton rant. So how did you become involved with that?
So I obviously knew the lads through, because everyone knows each other at football, don't they? It's like a little community. So I knew the lads, through football and on social media. And then when they brought out the Gascast, I started supporting it myself and listening to episodes and giving them like support. And it sort of got to the point where I was listening to their interviews and I realised that they did a really good interview with Darryl Clark, and I thought, he's saying some really powerful stuff in this, and it would be really great if I can edit it over video footage of Darryl Clark and the promotions that he got, sort of like marry them all together and make a really nice video out of it. So I asked the lads if I can do that for them, and if they could send me the file, and then we made this really nice video out of it, because I do editing as my day job anyway. I quite enjoy that.
Fair enough.
And the guys absolutely loved it, and they said, "Oh God, it made us all emotional." And then they said, like, you've always supported us, so why don't you come and join us as part of the podcast team? And it was about a year ago now that they asked me to do that, and I've absolutely loved it. I've loved doing interviews and scout reports and doing things like this where you collab with other people in other podcasts, and really, really enjoying it. So really grateful that they asked me to be part of the team. Good
stuff. And I want to ask you, obviously, because it's been prevalent in the media over the last few months, and there's been a couple of female pundits, experts on TV that have been slated. I think Karen Carney was probably the most high-profile one. Where do you stand on it? And does it get to the point soon where we just talk about football pundits rather than male and female football pundits?
Yeah, I mean, it is a tricky one because, there can be female pundits that are bad, that can be a thing, and people are allowed to criticize, but it is the sexist and the derogatory comments which are the problem. And unfortunately, football is a real cesspit for that sort of thing. I've had it with, if I make a simple joke tweet, you've seen it, Matt.
Your Wickham one, that was something I was going to ask, was the one about a Wickham one, and it was actually targeted at your friend, and it went off.
Yeah.
And it was just ridiculous. It was vile. Some of the stuff I read, it was ridiculous. And
so I've got these Wickham pals which I've known since probably 2014. I think I've known them, so quite a long time, and we're always back and forth with each other about if Rovers lose, then they'll be on at me, and then if Wickham lose, I'll be on at them. And then I know that always, like, if I write a tweet about Wickham, because a lot of clubs don't like Wickham, that it tends to do quite well, but it generally is always just a wind up at my friends. Like, it's nothing malicious. It's not actually, I don't really care about Wickham that much. I care about winding them up, not anyone else.
Sure, yeah.
And then sadly, when these tweets do well, they then reach the wrong people. And like, you could be annoyed at my tweet or whatever, but the way that I look or me being a female doesn't really have anything to do with my tweet or football in general. So it's sad that people have to feel the need to start attacking how I look, or going for like my female body parts and saying all these sorts of things. And it was really hard. I had to leave Twitter for a bit. I had to delete Twitter off my phone, so I couldn't see any notifications. I had to go on private, and I actually thought to the point where I didn't know if I wanted to come back, because I was scared to come back, because I thought, what if I write something else and then they come back? But obviously I was blocking as many people as I could, but it just got to the point where I felt like I was being backed into a corner on that Saturday night, and every time I looked at my phone it was just more abuse, and all it was is just one person started it off, saw that it got a lot of laughs and likes, and then other people were jumping on it. I didn't sleep for about 2 days because I was worried that they would like search me up online and start like finding like my work email address. You start getting this paranoia that they're going to find other ways to target you, because people were finding me on Instagram. But again, a lot of the support that I got off the back of that as well was overwhelming. It was amazing. I had messages from Rovers players. Darryl Clark sent me a message. Jeff 20 who does Radio Bristol, sent me a message, and like all the support that I got from fans of all clubs was really amazing. So it was kind of a bit bittersweet in the end.
So yeah, I think in the end, I think it probably levelled itself out, didn't it? There was probably more people that supported you rather than targeted you. But
Yeah,
that's really good. That's a really good background. And it's great to see. And like I say, hopefully it'll be sooner rather than later that we get to the point where we just talk about football pundits in general rather than determining whether they're male or female. But quick question for Ben and Tom. They've been sat there patiently for the last few minutes. In one word, is Joey Barton keeping Rovers up this season? Yes or no? Ben?
Yes.
Tom?
Oh, Tom.
No.
Well, I'll shoot then, Caz. Is Joey Barton keeping him up?
No.
Slag for Tom off then,
When I say it.
Right, yeah, you're allowed, Jim. It's your club, I suppose. So 2-2. So
For
it takes
the
2-2 at the
record,
moment, I suppose.
For the record, I absolutely do not want them to go down.
Oh, thank you.
I just can't see it.
Me
But
neither.
we'll come on to that soon.
No, but thank you. That was a really good insight into the life as a Gascast podcaster and a Bristol Rovers fan. Like I've said, people, if you've got questions for any of the team, for Ben, for Tom, myself, or for Caz, keep them coming in. We're going to move on now to... Oh, there we go. Jake Tong. Hope Jake's well. A Lincoln City fan. He's a good lad. So I'm good to see people stick together to combat the evil in football. Yeah, here. I think that's a brilliant comment, and I think all of us would probably agree with that.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, the support that I got was just so overwhelming. It's what made me come back, because if I didn't have that from football fans all over the place, even some Wycombe fans, some Bristol City fans were messaging me saying, just let you know, I don't agree. And yeah, it was, to be honest, that is the difference between me completely dropping off and deleting everything to staying and speaking football like I always love to do. So yeah, it really, honestly, it goes a long way just to send those messages of support.
No, it's good, yeah, because you shouldn't stop talking about football and stuff that you love just because of a few idiots at the end of the day. And we all get it. I know Ben's had it, I've had it, I'm sure Tom's had it as well. And it's like you said, the trouble is when you become a bit more popular, you then become more open to targets from people that want to be idiots and stuff like that. But I mean, it's water off a duck's back to me at the end of the day, and I'm sure we all get used to it. Not that that makes it right, I'm not saying that, but there's plenty of stuff we can just laugh off. It's obviously when it goes too far, like you encountered, is when it needs to be stopped.
Yeah, I agree with you there, mate. It's so hard now because you want like, I don't know if Caz felt the same. It's like you want to know what's being said about you, but you also know it's going to upset you. So but going back to like women in football, you look at pundits. Alex Scott, one of the best. Gabby Logan's a presenter. Laura Woods. Like, there's so many very good women presenters and pundits, and in my opinion, I think what BT did about 2 or 3 weeks ago on International Women's Day, they actually had a full host of women on that day, and I thought, something, that's a really good move, and it just showed you like how good like we are coming into it, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. I think this weekend wasn't there 2 female referees that were the first to referee male World Cup qualifying games as well, so that it is becoming more mainstream, and that's what we want. I think one day we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, so let's move on to the football again. Anyway, we went off on a bit of a tangent. Easter is going to be huge. There's going to be 2 sets of fixtures starting on Wednesday. For some reason, the Gills Wigan game's been moved from Friday to Wednesday evening, which is not ideal for us at work, and I've got to try and get in for a 5:30 kickoff. But that's only the first one. So just going to run through the fixtures for Wednesday/Good Friday. Gills Wigan on the Wednesday evening, and then on Friday we've got Doncaster Charlton. Accrington have got Burton, I think it is. Crewe Alexandra against Hull City. Fleetwood against Peterborough. Ipswich Bristol Rovers. Lincoln MK Dons. Northampton Shrewsbury. Plymouth Wimbledon. Portsmouth Rochdale. Sunderland Oxford. And Swindon against Blackpool. We'll come to you first, Ben. Obviously, we'll talk about our own games. Fleetwood Posh. Should be a good game. Fleetwood are in decent nick.
Yeah, in decent nick. We've given Grayson a new 2-year, long-term contract. They've not named how long it is, but I believe it'll be 2 years. We've given a lot of new players contracts, so maybe sometimes can work both ways. Where they're settled now and they, maybe don't try as hard. I'm not going to say that they're underperforming, but we're playing a Peterborough side that banged 7 in at weekend, but which is normally the time where Peterborough's somehow fall to pieces. But I'm expecting a tough game, and if we can get a point, I'll bite your hand off.
Fair enough. And Tom, we'll come to you next. Swindon Blackpool. That's got to be a game you're targeting to keep this playoff push going, surely.
Yeah, it's they've won the last 2, but they lost 4 in a row before that. I think Blackpool prefer to play teams that are in a form and playing a bit better football than in dogged form, like we saw against Plymouth and we saw against Wimbledon in the past as well. But if we've won the last 4 away, first time since 2007. Yeah, like you say, we go and play a game like we did against Oxford and Peterborough, then we've got the quality there to win. So nothing less than a win for me if we want to keep it alive, as you say.
Caz, Ipswich, Bristol Rovers. It's 2 sides out of form, to be fair. So is this one that you can potentially target? Ipswich have not had that manager bounce for me that I thought they'd get under Paul Cook. I think they've only won once. We saw them off pretty comfortably a few weeks ago. Can you get anything?
Do you know what? It feels like it's one of those things where it's a long time coming, where we've had good performances time and time again, but just had a bit of bad luck or just not taken our chances well enough. So it'd be interesting to know how we get on with a full week of training under Joe Barton, because we've had Saturday, Tuesday for about 2.5 months now, non-stop. And Joey Barton hasn't actually had a full week training with the players where they can solely focus on one game coming up. So it'd be interesting to see the difference with that. And like you said, they're off form. So I am holding on to some hope that we might get something. I don't think we'll win, but we may be able to scramble a draw out of it. I saw that Wigan had obviously managed to get a 0-0 draw up there. So hopefully, hopefully we could do something, but I don't want to say too much because I know a 3-0 battering's incoming. But
yeah, careful. You was almost Tom, being positive then, wasn't you?
I know. But I tell you what, Tom, you could do us a favour there, please.
We hope.
So could we. We've got Wigan. Yeah, we've got Wigan at home Wednesday night, and I fancy us to win that. I think, like Tom said, I'll probably mirror what Tom said regarding us. We've got to win that if we want to keep the pressure on above everyone else. And I think we go level on points with Blackpool if we win. I don't think we'll go in. I think we've got to win about 7-0 to swing the goal difference round. But yeah, so there's games that are important for all of us and important for Caz's team as well. So let's go through the rest of them fixtures. Ben, Doncaster, Charlton. How do you see that one going quickly?
Charlton win. Atkins to get his first win against the struggling Andy Butler's Doncaster side.
Who's next? Accrington, Burton, Tom. Who wins, if any?
1-1.
1-1. Caz, Crew Alexander against Hull.
Hull. 1-0.
Thank you. Ben, Lincoln against MK Dons. Can Lincoln arrest the slide? I know they've got loads missing.
Yes, Lincoln 1-0 winners.
Oh, that's a big shout, that. Tom, Northampton, Shrewsbury. Northampton probably have to win to stay alive.
Do you know what? I'm going to go with another draw, 2-2.
Plymouth v Wimbledon. Seems apt that you can do that one, Caz, as well, because that's another one that could affect you indirectly.
7-0 Plymouth.
Only 7.
Please.
Ben, Pompey Dale. Does the Danny Cowley bandwagon keep rolling on?
2-0 Portsmouth, and I'd love it if Wimbledon won 7-0 now.
Oh God, I wouldn't.
You could just see that video.
Yeah, 100%. This is why I'm reluctant to say too much.
And finally, Sunderland, Oxford, Caz.
Oh, Sunderland. They're on form at the moment. I know Oxford are doing all right, but I think Sunderland are chasing automatics. So I'm going to go Sunderland 2-1.
Yeah, they are playing well at the moment. I think it's what was I was listening to somebody. Was it on here? Someone called, apparently he gets called Streaky Lee Johnson, because he goes on these runs of winning loads and then losing loads. But I think he's turned them around massively in them games that they were drawing last season. I think we mentioned last week, didn't we, Tom, under Jack Ross and Phil Parkinson. They seem to be winning them now, and they probably weren't at their best at the weekend and still managed to dig out a result. And for me, that's a sign of a really good side. Right, Ben, we're going to hand over to you for the next section. If we can have a look at the form guide, if that can come up on the screen.
I think it's just being loaded now. I think Sunderland got called Sharks by Lee Johnson on the weekend. They Sharks don't wait around; they just pray. Whatever they.
I did see that. Yeah, do love a weird interview. They come out with some good ones.
Roker Report. Just kept tweeting Sharks for like an hour because they were so happy, but. They're not scoring loads recently, are they? Just 1-0, 2 games in a row now, isn't it?
Yeah, beat Bristol Rovers and won. They didn't have a game in the week, did they? The one before, I think, was after the Stuffed Crust final, wasn't it? Didn't they beat Accrington?
Oh no, they
by
drew.
1
No,
goal?
they drew to Lincoln 1-1.
Oh, that was it. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, and then I think Lincoln nearly pinched it last minute as well, didn't they? I think Morgan
Yeah,
Rogers had a big chance.
There still might be some hope at the top for other teams. All right, Ben, over to you, mate.
Yeah, as you can see in the form table, Sunderland, they're winning games like mad right now, aren't they? And they're on a great run. They're keeping a lot of clean sheets. They're in and around those places. Hull as well. They're not going away. But I think out of all the sides, I think Hull are, the ones that I think, they could drop points, and that is something I believe that they will carry on doing. As you can see, my team Fleetwood are up there for the first time you'll ever see them. Above Blackpool, that mind the gap there, Tom. Charlton and MK Dons on good runs as well. And, Gillingham, again, they're fighting in around the playoffs, aren't they? Like Matt said in previous episodes, if you look at the last 23 games, last 10, last 6, they always seem to be around them. Burton still up and around them, but they're, losing a few of late. Oxford and Wigan doing relatively okay. And then you look at your bottom table, Portsmouth are still down there, but they're getting up as well. Wimbledon are away from it as well. But and then you look at Doncaster, who started really well. They won 9 out of 10, lost to Fleetwood, and the wheels are falling off. So there's some weird form table, but there's still about 8 or 9 games to go for most teams. And it wouldn't surprise me if it completely changed this time next week.
Yeah, some good stuff there. I think we didn't scroll far enough down, unfortunately, to see Bristol.
Didn't need to. Didn't need to. No.
Where are they? Keep going.
You've been there for days.
You think you're...
We worked it out the other day that Bristol Rovers, since the 2nd of January, when they beat Blackpool 2-1, they've only got 12 points, which is the lowest in the division. And they'd be about 9 points off safety from that. So that's where they've struggled. We know Rochdale are down there as well. Plymouth down there is after a good run of form, and Ipswich down there as well. So hopefully Joey can turn it around, but he's got a big task on his hands, I think.
I think against Ipswich, you're both in the same form, both 1-1 in the last 6. I think if you score early doors, that puts them under massive pressure because they don't score a lot at the moment. And, but like you say, it's just scoring goals, isn't it? So
yeah, neither do we, unfortunately. We do have Doncaster on Monday as well, so that's interesting to see. Those two down there. So if we're gonna get anything, it's got to be these next 2 games. It's got to be.
Yep, running out of games, aren't we?
Yeah, I think you're right. So Caz has just mentioned there that the next game after Good Friday for the Gas is Doncaster at home. So if we can have a look at the Easter Monday fixtures, I think we need to run through them because we've got a full programme again.
Just
not sure me and
them up. I think.
Not sure me and Tom will be talking to each other come 5 p.m. Monday. Might just be Ben on his own.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do a stream.
How will it be if we lose?
We'll do a stream straight after, Matt, just for a celebration for one of us. It's just being loaded now. That's
fine. Well, I can start running through them. I've got them written down anyway. So we've got AFC Wimbledon against. Oh, that's thrown me off. There's an early kickoff. Doncaster thrown me off. Right, Doncaster versus Charlton, Accrington, Burton. We can see all them on the screen anyway. So let's go through.
Easter Monday. Scroll down, mate.
I've got the Easter Monday here.
There we go. Thank you. That's the ones. I was right. Yeah, AFC Wimbledon versus Fleetwood is the first one. But let's talk about each other's games. So I'll come to you first, Tom. Can you give Caz any hope? Can Bristol Rovers get a result at home to an out-of-form Doncaster?
Do you know what? They were my hardest pick for the last place to go down. And I think if there's any 2 games you're going to show some fight in, it's against Ipswich and Doncaster. Doncaster at home especially. You showed against Accrington Stanley. If you do score, you can score more than 2 or 3 goals. So for the sake of the podcast, I'm going to say a 2-1 victory.
He's lying, but he's being polite on it.
I'm not. Doncaster are out of sorts at the moment, and I don't think if they don't get anything from Friday's game, then they're going to be a world of trouble. And if Joey actually, gives the squad a kick up the arse and start playing the youngsters like they deserve, and they show some hunger and want to stay in the squad, then there's every chance that nick a point against Ipswich and go ahead and beat Doncaster. And then, I sound like a Bristol Rovers fan, but the hope's still alive. But if you don't take anything out of them, you're down, in my opinion. So fingers crossed. 4 points.
It's now or never, isn't it? Now for Gas, that's the trouble, because the games are running out fast. It's the same with all those down at the bottom. And I think we said last week it's 4 from 6, isn't it? I can't see Shrewsbury or Burton getting dragged back in. So
Plymouth won't
a little mini league. I will talk about Ben's game. I think, like Ben's spoken about over recent weeks after initially not being a fan, I think Simon Grayson's doing a really good job there. He's lost a couple of key strikers in, Ched Evans leaving earlier in the season, but Paddy Madden going to Stockport for big money, it seems, recently, which was a strange one for me. For me, Paddy Madden's still one of the best hitmen at this level, but you can't argue with what Simon Grayson's doing at the moment. He's got Carl Vassell playing well again, and they're scoring goals. They look solid at the back, so I'm going to back Fleetwood to go away and pinch that, I think, at Wimbledon. Be a tight game. Wimbledon fight for their lives all the time, but I think this might be the season for me that Wimbledon run out of luck. So I'm going to back the Cod Army to win that by the odd goal. And then I'm going to let Caz and Ben talk about Blackpool versus Gillingham, and me and Tom can just watch. If you want to start, Caz.
That is a tough one, both of you. I wouldn't be surprised after. I think I said to you, Matt, I was surprised at Gillingham's form lately. It's just since you beat us 2-0, you take your chances, which is great. And I didn't think you were anywhere near playoff contenders, if I'm honest, like midway through the season. But later on in the season, as it's gone on, I could see you creeping up there. I really can. And I could see Blackpool obviously doing well as well. We did beat Blackpool actually at home, which was a surprise. Whether we deserved those 3 points, I don't know, to be honest, because it was a bit of a two minutes of magic from our point of view. So based on what I've seen from both of you, I'm gonna go for Gillingham to win that one, but only very narrowly, and I'm gonna go 2-1.
Sorry, we'll come to you.
Well, Blackpool, haven't lost at home since about October, but they like leaking goals at home in the last minute, which is much to my delight. I know Blackpool fans aren't quite happy with that. I do think Blackpool are a good team and they'll get into the playoffs, but Gillingham, they look solid. They look like they're up for it. They want to prove doubters wrong. And this will be, in my opinion, Blackpool's toughest game yet, because, Gillingham, they're not one of those better sides like the Hulls and Peterboroughs and Portsmouth, but they're a tough side and hard to beat. I'm going to go for a Blackpool 1-0 win, just.
Ooh.
That was all leading up to Gillingham victory then, wasn't it? I'm sure it was.
It was.
It was all leading up, and he's just thrown me right off there. Gills are really good. Gills are going to lose. Oh, all right then.
No, it's just because...
You don't have to explain yourself, Ben.
He's the secret tangerine.
Whenever I praise someone, they've lost. So that's the basis I'm going on. I'll praise Gillingham and they'll probably lose. Actually, no, I'll praise Blackpool so they'll lose, eh?
Fair enough. Right, let's have a look through the other ones quickly. We'll do what we did with the previous set of fixtures. So we start from the top. Oh, we've done AFC Wimbledon Fleetwood. We've done Blackpool. We've done Bristol. Oh, that was quite good. Right, Burton, Swindon, Ben.
Burton, 1-0 winners, getting back to winning ways against a newly revamped Swindon.
Caz, Hull at home to Northampton. Got to be another home win, surely.
7-0 Hull.
There's a theme here, isn't there? With teams in the bottom four. Tom, Milton Keynes Dons against Crewe Alexander.
Milton Keynes are going to take 6 points from the next two, and they win this 1-0.
Ben, Oxford, Accrington, Stanley.
1-0, Accrington.
And then we've got to focus on the next one a little bit, haven't we? I think this is for me. This is game of the season so far. Peterborough against Sunderland live on the telly as well. This is huge. I think it's second versus third at the moment. Obviously, we've got to wait for the Friday games to go through as well to see if that changes. But this is potentially title winning, dare I say it.
Mm.
Whoever wins goes up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. I think whoever wins might win the title. I just think there'll be so much momentum if you can get a positive result in this one. I'm still backing Hull to drop out as well, but we'll get to that a little bit later. But go on then, we'll all do. Go on then, Ben, Peterborough, Sunderland. What's your prediction? Final score?
1 each.
Caz.
That was going to be mine. 1-1.
Tom.
Peterborough 2-1.
I'm going to sit on the fence with the other two. I can't see Sunderland getting beat the way they're playing. I'm going to go 1-1 as well.
Yeah.
Right. Where do we get to? Next one is Ben, Rochdale, Ipswich.
1-0 Ipswich.
Caz, Shrewsbury, Plymouth.
1-1. It's a bit of a neck game, isn't it?
Tom, you've probably got to say 7-0 to Portsmouth on the next one, haven't you?
Yes, please.
No, Portsmouth will nick that 2-0 comfortably.
Very nice. Yeah, there's some interesting games there, but for me, that one stands out. Is that? Oh, it's a shame that's 3 o'clock that game, because that'd be well worth a watch if our teams weren't playing. Right. Yes. Look at that. As if by magic. Thank you, John.
Made earlier.
Tom, do you want to take us through the league table, please?
Yeah, just similar to the form guide, really. I think what we should do, we'll talk about each other's predictions very quickly about who's going up and who's going down. I think if Hull sitting top, a good point against Gillingham, regardless of what Hull fans might say. Gillingham are a resolute side, and I think picking up a point against you guys was decent. I still think, and I've said this since the first episode of this podcast, I think they will stay consistent enough to do it. They may play a game more, but I think they'll win enough games just to see it through. And I think
don't get me all hopeful. Don't get me all hopeful.
No, not you. I meant Hull.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Hull. I think Hull will go up.
Sorry, it dropped out. Sorry.
I still think Sunderland will win the league. Playoffs is a lottery, but I think I finally made a prediction yesterday. I think I said Gillingham 6th, Blackpool 5th, Pompey 4th, and Peterborough 3rd. I think the others are too inconsistent, and the only other surprise package will be Charlton if they start winning early under Adkins. So league table's looking decent. Lincoln have had 7 injuries. I think Blackpool have had 6 or 7 injuries. Luckily, we've got a decent squad, but I think the others will just have enough. I think Pompey are absolutely flying now, and they'll comfortably sit in those playoffs for the rest of the season. The rest of the table is a bit. If we scroll down a little bit, please. I think, like I said, I don't think Ipswich have enough in the tank and playing consistently enough. So I think Gills will nick 6th. That's just my prediction. MK Dons, by the way, nearly bottom 2 the other week, wasn't it? 4 or 5 weeks ago. They've won 4 in a row now. And MK Don fans 4 weeks ago, after they just lost to Blackpool, I think they would have taken that every day of the week, and they're playing some incredible football at the moment, and they've got a really young squad, so credit to them. Accrington, we know, too inconsistent, conceding 7. They won't obviously have enough. They'll start to fade now. Fleetwood, I think they'll finish a lot higher than 15th, but not too far close to the top 10. Burton, I say Burton now, they lost 2 in a row now, and I don't know if that momentum has just stopped. I think they've a couple of more losses with teams below them winning. They might be sucked back into it, but they will just miss out, in my opinion. And then we've got the bottom, like you say, 6 from the 4th and the 6th will be going down. I think I predicted Rochdale, Bristol Rovers, Wigan, and Northampton. Rochdale, Bristol Rovers, Wigan, and Northampton. I don't want Wigan or Bristol to go down, but their run-ins are atrocious. If you've seen Wigan and Northampton's run-in, they've got to play Sunderland, Hull, I think Gillingham, Blackpool. They've got horrible fixtures. So that's my predictions. I don't know about you, Matt, starting at the bottom.
I did that League One predictor a few days ago, so I've just got the results up on screen because I've forgotten again who I got. Top 6, I've got Sunderland to pinch it from Peterborough, Hull to drop into the playoffs, finishing 3rd. Portsmouth 4th, I think there's loads of momentum with Danny Cowley. Blackpool 5th, and I think Lincoln have probably just got enough in the tank to hang on for 6th place. I've got us missing out at the moment. I've actually got Gills down in 10th, but I think I did that before Saturday, and I had us to lose at Hull because I was super cautious with the results. So
10th?
Yeah, but it was only a point or so in it. There was like a point or 2 between us and 7th, so it's going to be really tight. And bottom 4, I've got Swindon, Wimbledon, Northampton, and Rochdale. So I've mentioned this to Caz already on Twitter, and we've mentioned it tonight. I've got Bristol Rovers staying up by the slimmest of margins. I think it was about a goal that they stayed up on. I don't think they win many between now and the end of the season, but other teams just lose more heavily.
Wigan and Northampton have got really similar run-ins. So Wigan have got Gillingham, Portsmouth, Doncaster, Sunderland, Crewe, Shrewsbury, Burton, Hull, and Swindon. There's 2 or 3 games in there which they should be picking up points in, but the rest of them they're similar to Northampton as well. So that's the reason I think they won't have enough against those more experienced and classier sides. So over to you, Caz, for your bottom 4 and promotion predictions.
Bottom 4. I've been avoiding looking at it. I knew where we were because of people telling me, but this is this is the first time I've actually seen it. So thanks, guys. It looks horrible, doesn't it? Yeah.
Away.
Yeah, I know, but I just have no faith in the squad, to be honest. I mean, what's Joey to do? They're just beyond help. We can't score goals, we can't defend. So sadly, I could see us going down. I'm going to say that Rochdale will finish bottom. To be honest, I'd be surprised if we didn't finish bottom, but I'm going to try and keep a little bit optimistic. So Rochdale finish bottom, and then I think Rovers, as it is right now, I think Wimbledon will go down this year. I think they escape it every single year, but I don't think they'll do it this time. So I'm going to go Wimbledon, and I'm going to go Wigan. So Wigan, so basically as it is, but swap Wimbledon and Wigan round. I think that's how it would go. And then for the top, I backed Peterborough to do it, to be honest. This response against Accrington after they lost 3-1, I think that was a bit of a kick up the ass, and I think they've realised now actually how serious it is, and to put 7 past the team that are mid-table is really impressive. So I'm going to go Peterborough to win the title, Sunderland second, Hull to drop into it. And then I'm going to go, can you scroll? Are we able to scroll back up? Thanks.
Just do it with your hand.
Yeah. So Peterborough, Sunderland, Hull. I'm going to say Lincoln are going to drop out of it. I'm going to have, Hull, Portsmouth. I'm going to say, it's difficult.
Careful.
I know.
Come on.
How you feel?
It's like the Wheel of Fortune, isn't it? What's you going to pick?
I'm going to say, okay, so third Hull, and then Portsmouth, and then I'm going to say Gillingham, only because I've been so impressed with their form lately. I'm going to think, and then Oxford. I just can't see Blackpool doing it. I don't know why. Maybe it's because we've got you on the final day, and I'm just trying to go with my heart.
Are on the longest unbeaten streak other than Bolton in the Football League, just to let you know.
I know. I just can't. I just cannot see it. I'm sorry. I don't know why. Yeah. You're welcome to tag me in the promotion tweet at the end of the season and prove me wrong.
Yeah. Over to you. We say the best prediction till last. The Fleetwood fan predicting the Tangerines in the playoffs, maybe. Top 6, mate?
I was going to ask him a slightly different question. I was just going to say, could he see anyone surprisingly getting into the top 6, or one of those that I've mentioned that are probably safe actually getting dragged back in?
No, I think it's the bottom 6 that are going to be there. But in the top 6, I do believe that Sunderland will win the league, and I reckon Peterborough will finish second. Although my table prediction had Peterborough to finish third, but I do think Peterborough will get second. Hull will win the playoffs, because I think that squad they've got is incredible, in my opinion. And it's going to be Portsmouth, Blackpool 5th, and Lincoln 6th. But Blackpool against Hull in the League One playoff final. And all I say is that game will depend if my Twitter will deactivate, put it that way. No, at the bottom 4, I do believe that Rochdale are down. I think when you get rid of Camps, Reece Nottingham Davis that they lost Henderson, didn't they, as well? They lost the goalkeeper, Sanchez, who's now at Brighton, who was on loan there. I do think that'll catch up with him. I think Wimbledon are down. I think Swindon will go down. And Wimbledon. I'm backing Bristol Rovers and Wigan to stay up. Don't ask me where Bristol Rovers are going to get 14 points from, because I'm utterly, I can't, because I reckon you need about 47 points to stay up this year. On average, the last about 8-9 seasons, you need about 47, 48 points to stay up. So hopefully you can miracle 13, 14 points from somewhere.
Yeah. I'll tell you the team quickly before we finish up that's going to have a massive say on this is Ipswich. Looking at their running, I was talking about this with a Wigan fan today, and he pointed this out to me. Ipswich in their final games have got to play Bristol Rovers, Rochdale, Wimbledon twice, Northampton, and Swindon.
Wow.
So there's the fan base you need to start buying drinks for, Caz.
Yeah. And Paul Cook.
And Paul Cook, yeah. So they play. It's basically 6 of their last 9 are against teams in the bottom 5.
Yeah,
so they could have a huge bearing on it.
Ipswich fan after Friday, me.
Yeah, just after Friday. That's it. Yeah, hate them until Friday, and then you're best mates with all of them.
Yeah.
Right. I think we are just about on time, aren't we?
Yeah, that's good, mate. Yeah,
a little bit of injury time. We was going to do team of the week, but we'll just say it was Peterborough after their performance because they were absolutely sensational. I know they was aided and abetted by some pretty horrific Accrington defending at times, but Sammy Samodic and Johnston Clark Harris ran amok, and even Mo Issa got off the bench and scored one as well. And they didn't even have Sariki Dembele available as well. So that could have been a lot worse for Accrington if we're trying to find some silver linings for their fan base. Thanks to everybody for taking the time to watch tonight and listen. It will be out shortly as an audio form. Thanks for all your comments. Great show, guys. Really good idea to swap presenting. Nice one, Matt. Cheers, Tony. Really enjoyed Caz's insight and Ben's analysis was spot on. Enjoyed it. No, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate Tom letting me host tonight. Like I say, it was a bit of a... I wasn't sure at first, but it's gone all right, and I didn't put myself on mute, so that's always a bonus. Please keep subscribing. Please keep checking out. It's on the Seasiders podcast at the moment, hosting this until next season, I think, when the channel gets up and running properly, but it is available. Please keep subscribing to Ben Cod's Vlogs. I think he's trying to get to 6,500 subscribers. Please keep following the Gascast, listening to all the trials and tribulations of Bristol Rovers. If you're having a bad day, go and listen to that. It'll cheer you right up.
It's only the worst belt than you.
And you can go and subscribe to my channel as well if you like, Jill's in the Blood TV, which I'm quite surprised I didn't host this as tonight and introduce it as that. It's been a pleasure as always. Thanks to Ben.
Cheers,
thank you,
Matt.
Tom.
You're welcome. See you soon.
And thank you to our special guest, Caz.
Thank you. Up the gas.
And we shall return Easter Monday for another fun-filled, action-packed episode.